Good evening, folks. I'm Greg Hodges. I have the pleasure of serving as the president here at Patrick and Henry Community College. Welcome to our second pinning ceremony for our Physical Therapy Associates program. Don't they look good up here? How about giving them a nice round of applause? Well done indeed. We're so proud of these graduates. I want to take just a moment and express our appreciation on their behalf for your support. It is not easy to get through a program like this. This is a long, arduous program. I extend our congratulations to their instructors, Dr. Duffin, Dr. Williams, and of course Dr. Pruitt as well. I know she made an impact upon this class. And we're very excited about what this group of students is going to do for our community and in our very bright future. The PTA program is a program that took us 5 years to stand up, frankly. And these are the results. We are absolutely delighted. I want to again thank you for your contributions to their success, for every meal that you cooked, for the times you may have helped with child care, for the times you may have helped with flashcards or test preparation or whatever you did to help them get to this point. The results are here. So class, we are very proud of you all. You got another round to go. You got to pass the boards, but we're sure proud of you. One more time, let them know you appreciate this class.
Hello and welcome. I'm Dr. Rebecca Duff. I'm the new program director here. So I first met these folks in this semester, but I'm excited for them to start their journey as a physical therapist assistant. I want to welcome all of you here, friends and family and others, our executive team members, of course our grads. I know they're excited that this day has finally come. So just to impart a little bit of my knowledge of 30-some years in healthcare, patients come to us with all kinds of burdens, not just their injury that they're seeing us for. They're worried about finances, the medical bills rolling in, if they can't work, they can't care for their children or their loved ones. They're in pain. They don't know what the future holds lots of times. They can't do the things that they enjoy doing. And so we as healthcare professionals don't want to add to that burden. A patient should never regret encountering you. So our obligation is to treat folks with kindness, empathy, and compassion. Kindness, just a kind word, a smile, a pat on the shoulder, a word of encouragement, showing them how well they're doing, the progress they've made. Those little things mean a lot. And empathy. We may not have experienced the same illness or condition they're experiencing, but we understand it, and we understand how it's impacting their life. It's significant to them. Whether it seems significant to us or not, it's not about us, it's about our patients. And then compassion. We want to care for people. I always tell students, every patient you encounter is not going to like you. You're not going to like every patient. But you are obligated to treat them with respect and kindness and empathy and compassion. And I want to give you an example. I know years down the road, you'll remember certain patients. You might not remember their name, but you'll remember the circumstances and what happened. I was working an extra Saturday at the hospital, and we had a lady that had to come down for a whirlpool treatment. If you guys don't know what that is, you put their limb with a wound down in a tank of water. You can add medicines. You agitate the water, it helps clean the wound out. They don't do it so much anymore. And then you put a dressing or bandaging on the limb. They come in all shapes and sizes. Some are on a pedestal. You lift them up in a lift chair. You put their leg down in it. Some you can put them chest deep. Some are like a little swimming pool. Others are like a little oval-shaped bathtub on the floor. So when it was time for this lady, the tech that was with me said, she was awful to work with yesterday. It took them an hour and a half to treat her. Now, whirlpool treatment should be about 30 minutes tops. I thought, oh my goodness, this is going to be an interesting thing to happen. So she brought her down, and I got to talking to her about her treatment, and she said, I'm deathly afraid of heights. I get really scared and really anxious. And they lifted me up on that lift chair and put my leg over in that tank on the pedestal and made me sit there for that treatment. And then when they got me out, they left me up in the air so that they could put bandages on my legs, and it just scared me a whole lot. Well, I had visions of her getting really scared and toppling over in that chair. So I said, how do we do this? You see that oval bathtub on the floor? I just have to lift you up a little bit to put your limbs in there. I'll do one side, then the other. We did that. She was fine with it. Went smoothly. I said, okay, instead of lifting you way up in the air to do dressings, I put sheets down on the floor. I sat down on the floor. The tech handed me all the supplies. Everything went smoothly. And as I was writing up her note, the lady looked at me and she said, you know, you're the only person that's been nice to me since I've been in this hospital. No patient should ever say things like that. They shouldn't be made to feel that way. And I said, well, I'm sorry to hear that. I'm glad our interactions went well, and I wish you good healing and luck with your illnesses. So the tech took her back to her room, came back down to the clinic, to the department, and she said, she was really irritated with me. She said, you let that patient win. You gave in and let her win. I'm like, win what? It's not a contest. I said, the treatment went smoothly. I didn't compromise safety. I didn't compromise the cleanliness or the integrity of the dressings and things. She went back to her room in a good mood. I'm not going to be irritated and ruffled the rest of the day. And she said, but you still let her win. And I said, it doesn't matter. I said, looking at her chart, her quality of life is poor. And those wounds aren't healing on her legs. She's probably looking at amputations. So her quality of life is only going to get worse. So if I can make her stay a little more pleasant, compromise where I can, then that's what I should do. So when you get irritated and frustrated with patients, step back and think about that. Again, it's not about you, it's about them. Try to take a deep breath and go, okay, I know they're hurting, they're scared, they're frustrated, they're angry, and you're probably one of the few healthcare providers that actually spends a good amount of time with your patients. So they've got somebody to talk to. So don't take it personally when they're snapping and irritated. Just think back to, would you be in that situation? How would you want a loved one to be treated when they come to physical therapy? So that's my thoughts for you guys. I think you're entering a rewarding and fulfilling career. Many years ago, I was the clinical coordinator for a PTA program and graduated a lot of students from down in Martinsville in the Danville area. So you've probably encountered a lot of my previous students, and I'd be curious as to what they say, but every time I went in to see them, though, and encountered them, they would say, I love what I do. Now, they might be irritated with their employer or something like that, but they loved interacting with their patients and helping their patients get better and helping them see what they could change if they needed to. So I think you'll find that you've picked a good career, and I wish you a long and happy career. Good luck. Thank you. And now Dr. Lucy Williams, our clinical coordinator, has a few words for our students as well. Thank you.
Good evening. I am Dr. Lucy Williams, and I started with the program in 2018. We had another program director, Julie Martin, Dr. Martin, who was here until this last semester is the only time she wasn't here with us. And I know the students miss her terribly, but we are so super grateful to have Dr. Duff with us. She has been an amazing addition to our program, and we are very fortunate and grateful to have her. World of experience. A couple of days ago, Becky, Dr. Duff, came to me and she said, I think the students want you to say a few words at the ceremonies. I said, oh, okay. What should I talk about? And I said, oh, well, I guess I'll just talk about clinical education because that's my half of the program, what I manage. And it's a pretty huge piece and it can be kind of complicated at times. But then I had a student text me and she said, I think we'd like you to talk about maybe some challenges that we've overcome. Okay, let me think about that. And boy, they have overcome quite a lot. A number of years ago, I had a position in Charlottesville, Virginia, at the University of Virginia, working at the McHugh Sports Medicine Center. And I had the great privilege of working with some of the athletes there. And there was one particular therapist that I worked with. His name was Lloyd Gavan, big burly guy. And he had a great poker face. He could be so serious. And then a moment later, he burst out into laughter, and he had me. I didn't get the joke at first. But one of his lines that I always remember, he would look at a patient sternly in the face, and if they had any complaints at all about the treatment or what they had to do to get better, he would say, "That which does not kill you makes you stronger." So that's one of the first things that came to my mind when I thought about challenges for you all. We all have challenges in life, and challenges do make us stronger. And I learned that line, at least from Lloyd's perspective, came from the Gladiator movie in 2000. But I did a little more digging, and I think there was a philosopher named Nietzsche who actually said it. But some of the challenges that these students have overcome start, of course, with a pandemic. Our first class started in January 2020. This class started January 2021, smack in the middle of a pandemic. And what did that cause for them? Like many of us, isolation. Another thing was having to learn to do classes online and remotely. But they adapted, and they got into pairs and pods and upped their game with technology and caused us to up our game with technology and learning in the labs and small groups. So they have clearly overcome that challenge successfully. Another challenge was financial. And I'm sure we all can relate to that. At some point in our lives, maybe many points, we've had financial challenges. And they've had it big time. And many of them have worked 1, 2, and 3 jobs simultaneously to get through this program. That takes a lot of grit. And along with that came a lack of sleep. And many of us know what it's like to be sleep deprived. But they did it. Sometimes they did it by sleeping in my class, which I tried not to take personally, but it was really hard. Many of these students have children and family responsibilities, and super kudos to them. And I would just like for all of you who have children or children on the way to stand for a moment. And they overcame so much, taking care of their families. Taking care of their families and taking care of their schoolwork. They got it done. And then there was lack of sleep again from doing all that. Another challenge, new educators. Dr. Martin and myself came into this program to build it from the ground up. We came in as full-time clinicians all of our lives. I've worked many years in physical therapy, but education was new, and I had to learn a whole new language. And these students have endured the struggles of learning to be a new educator, to be a better educator. And I'm very grateful that they stuck it out. And I've asked them not to be too harsh on the reviews, our faculty evaluations, but anyway, that's been a challenge. They know it, and they have still made it through. And now we have Dr. Duff, who has many, many years of education experience, so we're upping our game. Another challenge related to being a new program and new educators is that we lost Dr. Martin, we gained Dr. Duff, and this is one of the bonuses of the pandemic. We gained 2 adjunct faculty, and those are Lori Nowlin and Ashley Donovan. They've come in and served as lab assistants and taught some of the additional courses that the first year around, Dr. Martin and I had to teach all by ourselves. So it's lifted a great burden on us and been a huge enhancement. And these students, they're benefiting so much from these adjuncts. They're amazing. Another challenge, exams. That comes with any program, but they've successfully completed them all. In addition to taking care of children and families, they've had their own illnesses, and this has impacted sometimes their attendance in class, and we're very strict on attendance. They have to show up and be there. Also in the clinic, another big challenge that they've overcome is they've made it through all the clinical education. And that consists of a 4-week, a 5-week, and a 6-week clinical education that's full-time work. They don't get paid to do it, but they have to be there full-time hours. And, still working jobs, taking care of families. And I have to say, I know that they could not have done it without your support. There have been parents and siblings and all kinds of friends and people coming in to help support them, and that's you all. And we are so glad that you're here to witness their success, because you're a big part of it. Our accreditors require that we give them 500 to 700 hours of clinical work. And because of the pandemic, our accreditors were very kind and gracious and granted, like a dispensation, granted us the ability to allow only 400 and some hours if we needed it. But everybody made the cutoff. They got in all their hours in spite of having COVID themselves, being sick with the flu, having all kinds of things happen. So big challenges they have overcome. Another challenge that goes along with clinical education is transportation. What if your car breaks down? These kids don't have money to just shovel out and pay for repairs. Extra gas cost. And we know that has soared at times. Another challenge that comes up in clinical education is the interactions with patients. As Dr. Duff was talking about, they come into experiences that you would never imagine. Sometimes there are ethical dilemmas that come up. They have to deal with having a lack of confidence. When you first start out in any new field, it takes a while to build your confidence. They have to treat people with conditions that they're not quite sure what it is and how to do it, but that's why they go to clinical education. We have volunteers out in the field, in clinics, in hospitals, in nursing homes, who volunteer their time to mentor each one of these students, to help them build their confidence and their knowledge, and move them toward being able to pass that national licensure exam. So they have to spend a lot of time out of their comfort zone. And of course, I mentioned vulnerable patient situations and having to be advocates for their patients. So again, suffering makes you stronger. Maybe it wasn't suffering, but that which does not destroy you makes you stronger. And hopefully we all, and these students in particular, learn something from their adversity. And sometimes we don't know that we're learning anything until we look back. So we have them do lots of reflection type activities to help build that sense of, who am I? How do I approach things? How can I do better next time? I have a nephew who recently had an accident with a chainsaw. And he was very, very fortunate in that it wasn't worse than it was. But he lost a finger and a half and still is wearing a special splint. He is an amazing self-taught pianist. And of course, my first thought was, how is he going to play the piano? I mean, he will sit down and it's just amazing. Now for him, I look at this as, hopefully he will see it as an opportunity to learn something new. not just how to work with a chainsaw better, of course, but this is a time to reflect. Am I doing what I really want to be doing? He was so excited. He got a degree from DCC in IT work. And at the end of it, he realized, I don't really want to be sitting behind a computer screen all day. I want to be outside doing stuff. So he was doing something that he loves, but it's a very dangerous field, of course. And now, hopefully he may go back to doing that. I don't know. And we have great wisdom as people who have been in the field for a long time, or adults who have lived longer than our students here. And we have a lot of wisdom to impart. However, the student or the person has to be open and willing to hear and willing to take that information. Otherwise, eventually they figure it out. They figure something out, whether it's on their own or with your help. And in one of our classes, we talk about leadership, and they write a paper about someone that they've observed as a great leader in their lives that they know personally. Many of them wrote about their clinical instructors, and we have some amazing clinical instructors out there working full-time as physical therapists or PT assistants. And one of the students actually wrote about her mother. And so we never know how much influence we have on a student, on a younger person, on someone our own age. But each of you, whether it's your family member or a friend, you have an influence on these students' lives. And we really appreciate that, and I know that they do as well. Sometimes we have to acknowledge that we're double-natured sometimes. We have a very rational side to us, and we have an instinctive side. And we have to use both of those sides. However, the thoughts that I want to leave you with is that I think what's here in your heart, what's in your instinct, in your gut, for me, that trumps. So as you're wrestling with things that come up, and things will come up every day, whether it's professionally or personally, analyze it in your own way. Get feedback from those that you trust and who love you and have your best interest at heart. And then make a decision with your heart. Do what you really love in this profession. And as Dr. Duff said, it is a profession where almost everyone goes to work each day and they keep going back because we love what we do. We have an opportunity to impact people's lives in a positive way, in a very, we get to spend more one-on-one time with patients than any other healthcare practitioner, I think, far more than physicians. And so you will continue to love this profession, I'm sure, for a long time. So even though you may be disgruntled at times with the situation, as Dr. Duff said, keep coming back and make your decisions based on what you really love doing. So, now, enough from me. We have some other special people to hear from tonight. And our next speaker is one of our adjunct professors. Her name is Ashley Donovan. And Ashley, I call her now the Golden Girl, because Ashley just has so much personality and kindness and goodness and enthusiasm, and these students love her. And I'll let you in on a little secret. Ashley, on the side, is a professional baker, and she brings cupcakes and cookies. So what's not to love? So Ashley, I'd love for you to come up and share some words with our students.
Thank you, Dr. Williams. Good evening, PTA class of 2022, their family members and friends, and P&HCC faculty and staff. I am truly honored this evening to be your speaker for this pinning ceremony. Being your lab assistant and also one of your instructors has been such a privilege. It has been a joy getting to know each of you and seeing you make strides in your education and now achieve this tremendous accomplishment. It really is. Graduating from an accredited PTA program is indeed something for which you should all be very proud. My class was told by one of our professors in PTA school that it would be one of the hardest degrees that we would earn. It turned out to be true. But it was a worthwhile endeavor that is proved to be extremely fulfilling. And that was, I've been out of school for now almost 17 years, over 16 and a half. And I still can remember my pinning ceremony, so this is truly special. The effort you have put forth throughout the program has brought you to this moment. I hope that you take in this moment and remember all the challenges, but also remember the triumphs, especially the triumph of making it to this point. You're going to look back on the memories of your time in PTA school. You have studied, stressed, cried, and laughed. You have endured many late nights and early mornings, as Dr. Williams mentioned as well. Skills checks and practical exams. I know you loved those. Congratulations on making it to this point. Now, as you take your state board exam, obtain your PTA license, and begin your career as a PTA, always remember, though, that learning never ends. We are so blessed to work in the medical field, of which new discoveries and developments are continuously being made. Remember that compassion you have for people that brought you to the field of physical therapy in the first place, and always keep that at the center of who you are as a PTA and healthcare professional. Endeavor to show compassion to your patients, their family members, and your coworkers. You will have challenging patients, have you already heard? Several of us mentioned. But remember to treat the patient as a whole, not just the hole in the patient. In our discussions in class and when reading your assignments in the psychological aspects class, I saw the amazing and compassionate hearts of each one of you. Many times I would read your assignments and I would cry because I just saw you just develop into those professionals. I saw you grow in not only your mental and educational knowledge, but also your emotional intelligence. Physical therapy is such a rewarding profession and a very worthwhile endeavor. You will cross the stage at graduation, but you will then cross into a new stage of your life that is an exciting adventure. The journey on which you are about to embark is filled with incredible potential. May you be proud of the work you do, the person you are, and the difference you make. You will have patients that will tell you what a difference you made in their lives. I will always remember a gentleman I treated when I worked in the home health settings, and I've worked in basically all the settings of physical therapy, all but one really. And I'll never forget, he told me that he knew that I was meant to help him as a PTA. He knew I was meant to help him. And recently, working with a wheelchair-bound patient, we both sat down and cried when she walked over 15 feet for the first time in nearly 18 years. And it's those moments. You're going to have those moments. And I'm sure you probably already experienced some of those moments in your clinicals. As a PTA, you will have these special moments with your patients that you will never forget and that will cause you to know that you are in the most rewarding career and that your studies have not been in vain. You too will be overcome with joy for your patients as they achieve goals they may have thought were impossible. I'm sure you've noticed that a theme that you've heard already tonight has been a theme of caring. The American Physical Therapy Association has as its motto that physical therapy is the science of healing and the art of caring. And I've always tried to remember that and use that in my daily life as a PTA. You will sometimes be the only one that a patient feels comfortable to talk with. As was already mentioned, sometimes you are the one that spends the most. You're able to spend the most time with them. And so you will make those connections that sometimes other healthcare professionals don't get to have. But just remember, like I said, the science of healing, but the art of caring. And remember our motto in psychological aspects class, just be a nice human, right? So if you remember all those things, and like I said, just enjoy this evening and remember back to all the memories, labs and classes and your clinicals. But now take that and go forward and enjoy your career as a PTA. And we're always here for you. And we're rooting for you and cheering you on. We love you all. An excellent job in all your studies and your clinicals. I couldn't be prouder. I'm so proud of every one of you. And I thank you for allowing me to be one of your instructors and your lab assistants. And thank you so much. Have a good evening.
Thank you so, so much, Ashley. You can see the passion that she has. And if I remember nothing else tonight, I'm going to try hard to remember to be a nice human. I wasn't in that lecture, or that series. Apparently you all heard that maybe more than once. So we have someone else we want to hear from. And this person, Lori Nowlin, is a wonderful, wonderful person, and especially because she teaches our pathology course. Besides being an excellent physical therapist and very passionate about wanting to help these students really learn, they can't just fake it, they've got to really know their stuff. And she grills them and drills them, and she's a great teacher and a great friend. And we're very honored to have her with us in our program and to hear from her tonight. Lori, please come and share your wisdom.
Thank you, Lucy. That was very kind to introduce me that way. I just want to say good evening to everyone, and I'd like to thank the students for inviting me to speak tonight. All of us that work at the college, we're also proud of you graduates. And I feel very fortunate that I've had the opportunity to become an adjunct instructor here at Patrick and Henry. I have been a physical therapist for 30 years this year. I graduated from Old Dominion University in Norfolk, but I've worked in various settings in this area most of my career. My first job was at the hospital in Martinsville, and I was hired along that year with another new graduate, Julie Martin, who was very instrumental in getting this program started here in Patrick and Henry. And we're just so fortunate to have it here in our area. I hope each of you graduates will enjoy your career in this field as much as I have enjoyed mine so far. You will be rewarded with new friendships and lots of funny stories to tell your family members at supper time, as long as you remember your HIPAA rules and don't violate any confidentiality. But it is only after the fact, when you get home after a hard day of work, sit down and have a meal with your family, that you can actually laugh about getting urine on your shoes that day while you're assisting a patient to the bathroom. You will have many inspirational moments, such as assisting a patient to walk with a prosthesis after an amputation surgery at the age of 89 even. Perhaps you will have a bittersweet memory of a patient that passes away after an extended illness who told you, "I'm ready to go home, and it's not so bad on the other side." Then demonstrated such great peace with an imminent death. You're fortunate to experience things like that. I have met so many interesting people as patients from different cultures, social status, backgrounds, with unusual injuries as well as common illnesses. I have had a patient was a home health patient. He was a bomber pilot in World War II. He lived in Martinsville, he and his wife. He actually had an airplane hangar built onto his house where he parked his airplane. He was fascinating, to go and visit. He and his wife they enjoyed flying from Martinsville up to Smith Mountain Lake just for lunch. I've also had a patient who was ecstatic when I showed her how to borrow books from the public library using an app on her iPhone. I have had a patient whom I gave a crocheted prayer shawl. And 2 years later, when she thought her cancer had reoccurred, she told me she put that prayer shawl over her as comfort while she awaited the results of a bone biopsy. It doesn't take much to make an impact on a patient who suddenly finds himself dealing with a traumatic injury, painful condition, surgical procedure, or even a brief hospitalization with pneumonia that requires rehab to regain even the simple activity of walking to the bathroom. A smile, a friendly compliment, or a kind action, such as getting the patient a ginger ale or helping them make a phone call to a family member, can brighten that person's day. You will be more than a physical therapist assistant. You will be a friend, confidant, and maybe even someone's hero. You, as a healthcare worker, should care for your patient's recovery as well as care about their mental and spiritual well-being and demonstrate empathy for their situations. This quote from Teddy Roosevelt seems appropriate for this graduating class as you enter the professional rehabilitation world. No one cares how much you know until they know how much you care. That's my best advice, and I congratulate each one of you, and it's been so fun and to work with all of you, and I'm very, very proud of you. Thank you.
Now we have a presentation of the pins. The pin is a symbol of graduating from a physical therapist assistant program. It's kind of that little token that says, yes, I made it. A lot of folks like to wear it on their ID badges or their collars and things like that. I still have mine from, 28, 29 years ago, so, and wear it lots of times to special occasions at work and things like that. So we also have a little takeaway, little gift bag for our students just to send them off and say, we're glad we had you and we support you, and anytime that you have questions, you're not sure what to do with a patient condition or things like that, remember that the faculty at Patrick Henry are here for you. You can contact us. It doesn't matter if it's a year from now, 5 years from now, whoever's around, we'll help you the best that we can with things. Okay. So at this time, as I call a student's name, you'll go forward and have your pen placed and be given your badge. Okay? And I will do my very best with the names. I've already been cautioned to try to do that. I did want to mention Hannah Barker. She's on the list, but unfortunately couldn't be with us. But she is part of this class, and I wanted to make sure that she was mentioned here tonight. Haley Bennett. Sarah Bennett. Malaysia Boyd. Haley Draper. Raylene Gray. Ashley Harris. Allison Lyon. I know this one I'm going to try really hard. Megan Mata. Kiara Templeton. Jacob Wright. Okay, class. One last thing. For us, if you would all stand, please. And at the end, you can say, I do. This is a physical therapist assistant oath. As a physical therapist assistant, I pledge to comply with the laws and ethical guidelines that govern physical therapy, to maintain professional competence and exercise sound judgment, to respect the skills and knowledge of all rehabilitation team members, to place the welfare of my patients above my own self-interest, to respect the rights and dignity of all individuals and treat patients with compassion, empathy, and kindness. With this oath, I accept the duties and responsibilities that embody the physical therapy profession.
I do.
Thank you, guys. You can sit down. You may be seated if you'd like. Okay. So that concludes our program. We are excited for our new graduates and look forward to hearing about their jobs and what they're doing. Thank you all for being here tonight. Go out and celebrate, and I hope that many of you will come back for the commencement ceremony to mark your milestone in life. So from all of us, To all of you and to our graduates, thank you and good night.